Once again, you're listening to the Paul McGuire Report. Send an archive of this message to somebody who needs to hear it. Why? Because we need to reach our culture, our families, our loved ones for Jesus Christ. And the only way we're going to do that is if we can apply God's Word together, where He emphasizes that we are to love one another, and that the only way that people will recognize that we're the true disciples of Jesus Christ is if we love one another. So let's take it where the rubber meets the road and apply it to like a national situation. This situation just happens to be this woman, Stormy Daniels, a porn star or whatever she calls herself, and her allegations against President Trump. What do we do with that? How do we process that from a biblical worldview? I believe this program can help you do that, and that's our goal. You're listening to the Paul McGuire Report. Okay, so Stormy Daniels, and going back to the article I wrote on News with Views today, which is slowly going viral. Now, the reason it's slowly going viral is because it's normally, a year ago, it would have exploded and gone viral quickly. But there are very real, dangerous forces of active censorship and Orwellian thought police type of regulations that, of course, that are not admitted to. The internet is being radically and aggressively censored. Major search engines are making conservative and Christian content literally disappear. I can't tell you how many people I talk to that you probably know, that you probably watch, that you probably listen to, that you like and you respect. And I see how their watches and their likes and their hits and the numbers of people that are supposed to be the official numbers regarding people you know very well. I could drop some names right now. You'd know their names. They have massive audiences, or they have significant audiences, and their audiences have not gone down in the last several months or a year. They have skyrocketed. But you wouldn't see that if you look at the rankings that are being hijacked by the social media and tech giants. Why? Because they're trying to destroy and censor any thought, any belief system, any opinion that opposes their Orwellian thought police, globalist, one world government agenda. And that's what it is. You see, it's not a fair game. It's rigged. Just like Donald Trump used to talk about the rigging with the media and the rigging in the elections. Well, right now we are seeing the most brutal form of censorship and fascism through the technological rigging of the internet. In other words, they're censoring it right in front of your eyes, and they are shutting this baby down. Yeah, it's that climatic. They are shutting the internet down right in front of everybody's eyes. But most people don't know that because they're not paying attention. Now, it's not over till it's over. But that means that you have to be ingenious, clever. You need to politely and strategically speak out for what you believe. And you need to flex a little muscle. You need never to be predictable. If you're going to come off like a nut and a wacko, you might as well stay home. You are a diplomat for Jesus Christ. As such, you need to behave as a diplomat of Jesus Christ. But you need to rattle the cages of some of these big institutions. And you know what? Rattling cages isn't enough. You're going to have to pick up and leave some of the social media that you're so fond of and find a new company or a new social media company or a new video company or a new search engine that is friendly to your beliefs, not one that is waging war against your beliefs. That's the enemy. And it's unfortunate. I really like the technology of some of these companies, but you know what? I'm not going to sit there and promote our demise because they've been caught red-handed. Numerous times. I've observed this going on for 2 years. People at first thought, well, I don't know, they think Paul's a little bit paranoid. No, I wasn't paranoid. I saw the rankings chopped, slashed, and you know why? Because a lot of people that I know are contingent upon advertising dollars, and in order for advertisers to spend money on their alternative media sites and radio programs, etc., they have to show some significant numbers that are reliable in terms of the amount of people listening. But if these companies come in and slash the real numbers by 2/3, they dry up the advertising dollars. It's rigging it. And then the search engines and everything, the bots, the algorithms are all designed to censor, to remove conservative and Christian opinion. Oh, make no mistake about this. This is a war on information. It's a war on truth. And the fascists, when I was a kid, okay, I was a liberal, atheistic household, the whole thing. And we always believed, as most liberals believed, that it would be, when fascism ever came, when censorship ever came to America, it would be the right-wing conservatives who were like Nazis, or the Christian right-wing conservatives who would they would be the one that would censor everything. That's what everybody's fear was. Well, guess what? It didn't play out that way at all. It played out the opposite way. The people who are the most tolerant, the most respectful, and the biggest champions of free speech are the conservatives and the Christians. And the people who are acting like fascists, I mean, I'm talking about hardcore fascists, they scare me. If you don't speak and talk and think and believe the way they want you to, and they have a strict set of guidelines, their political correctness stuff, and if you deviate from what they say you can say and how you can say it, they go after you. But they go after you in sneaky ways by spending hundreds, if not billions of dollars worth of technology, bots and algorithms that secretly and silently censor you. And the other reality is, and if you don't believe me, read the book Conquering the Matrix. Read it. And then read the book Mass Awakening about how they planned this in detail in the 1930s. And then read the book Mass Awakening and A Prophecy of the Future of America, where the co-founder of the Trilateral Commission, Rockefeller's globalist organization, Brzezinski, writes in his 1976 book. He comes right out and says, we're going to control society. We're going to have continuous surveillance on every aspect of every person's life. He said that in 1976 without a blush. Now, this is dangerous stuff, and any true journalist, any true author or thinker, anybody who had integrity as a journalist would be using their media platforms to warn you of a clear and present danger, because if you think it through logically, not like an airhead, if you think it through it logically, guess what happens? Because it always happens this way. First, they go after the conservatives and the Christians. But number two, very quickly, months after they destroy the Christians and the conservatives, guess what? They go after what Stalin, the communist leader, called, what Lenin, the communist leader, called the useful idiots. They go after all the people, the leftist journalists and filmmakers and writers and stuff. They lock them up in prison, and they don't allow them to have free speech either. That's why the communist revolutionary leaders call them useful idiots. Once they're finished with them, their Stooge Act, their Three Stooges Act, then they get rid of them. And that means Michael Moore and the whole bunch of them. Michael Moore is making a lot of money right now. For a socialist, for a communist who believes in redistributing the wealth, he's living like a capitalist king. But guess what? Michael Moore is either very short-sighted, or he's got a home tucked away somewhere on the coast of Cuba, because once this machine censors all the conservatives and Christians, they're going to go after him. If he deviates at all from what their big brother Orwellian thought police armies are saying. This is very serious stuff. And it's been ordered, by the way. It's been ordered. You can read the writing. These orders were given out by the globalist elite in the last 3 years of Bilderberg Group meetings, Bohemian Grove meetings, International Monetary Fund meetings, and other meetings. They were given their marching orders. Now, let's talk about Stormy Daniels. The name of the article is Stormy Daniels, a Weather Modification Weapon and Trumpocalypse. On News with Views, you can go to paulmcguire.us, access the article, and spread it far and wide. Why do I say spread it far and wide? Because I've noticed something. An article like this that I've written, it's not bragging. It's just because of the content and the news interest, et cetera, and the perspective. Every time I've ever written an article like this, it's gone viral fast. But I took a break from writing articles with Views, not because I don't appreciate News with Views, as I was caught between this huge deadline between Trumpocalypse and Conquering the Matrix, and I just couldn't do it. So, but what I noticed is that what causes a article or a picture or a video to go viral is that it is spread honestly through the search engines, through the social media like Facebook, and then all the people who like what you have to say, people like you and me, and others we support. We spread the news on articles and information we like. I get it all the time, and I appreciate it. And then we cause it to go viral. But now they have these bots and algorithms that anything that's Christian, anything that doesn't fit into the politically correct mold, is censored or made to disappear. This makes what they've done is they want to destroy the ability of Christian or conservative information from going viral. Now, I don't believe in defeat, by the way. You may have picked that up a long time ago. I don't believe in no retreat, no surrender is what I believe in. So it means the job is harder, but I don't give up. Why would I give up? God called me to do something. Why on earth would I give up if God called me to do something just because it gets tough? And why on earth would I give up just because it appears to be impossible? No, I don't give up. I renew my mind with the Word of God, which says all things are possible with God. Nothing is impossible with God. I learn how to think supernaturally and I act supernaturally. I pray to the Lord. I use the wisdom He gives me. And I strategize with the help of the Holy Spirit, His strategies. And I find ways to do an end run around the Big Brother media, the 1984 thought police media. And it can be done, but this is how it works. Ordinary people like you and me, you can't trust the search engines to spread the news or the social media. They'll crush it. They will make it disappear. We have to, as individuals, and you got to follow up on it because they're very sneaky. We have to post and send out the articles we like and believe in to our friends, to people that we believe are receptive, and then we have to demand that our friends and our contacts that they also spread it, and then those people must tell others to spread it. You see, it's a chain of it's like one of these chain letters. If we encourage people to spread it and we really stay on them, what happens is, and I'm not talking about this from a self-centered standpoint, I do this all the time with other people's material if it's good. What happens is God has given us the power to do an end run around the media monopoly that these people have dominated. Okay? You see, they forgot the basic principle. They got tens of millions of people who like Facebook, and millions of those people just happen to be Christians. Yet they're censoring these Christians. Same with a lot of other groups. Well, guess what? Maybe it's time to wake up and smell the coffee and move and find a more friendly environment. So there's a way around it. Now, okay. So that's why I'm asking for your help. That's how it begins. And not just for myself, but others who write as well. Okay. I equated this sudden emergence of this porn star, Stormy Daniels, as a weather modification weapon. Because, as I talked about earlier, geoengineering, the science of weather modification technology, weather modification weapons, unlike your clueless friends who think you're a conspiracy theorist, this is technology that is up and running and has been for years. They can scientifically create tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, all kinds of weather, droughts, but they can also use weather modification technology for many good things. They can send rain where there's a drought. They can stop hurricanes. They can theoretically slow down the rate of earthquakes. They can cause temperatures to drop in a good way or temperatures to rise in a good way. So weather modification technology is simply neutral, just like nuclear energy or other forms of energy and technology. It's neither good or bad by itself. It depends who's using it and for what reason. So what I thought was mysterious is that after the real time somebody would have come forward about a sexual... See, this is not sexual abuse, by the way. They're trying to paint it with a broad brush. This isn't sexual abuse. If it even happened, and you need to be very suspicious that it even happened to begin with. Don't assume it's true. Why did this lady wait until well after the election? That's very conspicuous. Who's really behind this woman? You think she's just some porn star, who takes off her clothes and does the wild thing or whatever and makes money? You think this is all about? No, there's an she's a pawn. There is some kind of highly sophisticated operation and financing behind her. Don't deceive yourself. You don't launch from nothing, okay? You don't launch from nothing and position yourself on the cover of major magazines and get 60 minutes primetime interviews. The reason she's getting that is the mainstream media wants to give her a platform to say what she is claiming happened. Why are they doing that? Because their goal, obviously, is to destroy Trump. Okay? And their methodology of destroying Trump, they've modified it a little bit. It's all about psychological operations, psyops. If you read my book, Conquering the Matrix, I go into detail about psyops. If you read my book, Prophecy of the Future of America, I go into detail on psyops. And in Trumpocalypse, we go into the deep state, the intelligence agencies, and psyops. Now, this is a very sophisticated psyops operation because, well, this may upset some of you. There's nothing vulgar or impolite in what I'm saying. What I'm about to say, anybody could listen to, because I'm talking about politics and marketing and stuff. If I should transition into anything that would be remotely offensive, I will give you a fair heads up, okay? And I won't just start it. I'll give you plenty of time. But I don't intend to do that. I want to keep this like G-rated for the most part. Okay, so remember, a lot of times these storms come out of the middle of nowhere. The question is, are they real storms, or are they weather modification technology storms? You see, are they man-made created? Now, the appearance of Stormy Daniels appears on one hand to be a spontaneous event where she claims, I don't know, what was it, 10 years ago, she claims that Trump had an affair with her. Now, I didn't waste my life reading. I didn't want to read the perverse details of what happened or what. I don't want to fill my head with that filth. But I read enough of it to get an idea of what was happening. And what I learned, because there's like regular language that you and I speak, and then there's legal speak, or there's language that it's obvious lawyers create for their clients. And what I saw appeared to be her lawyers speaking through her. And I'll give you an example. I can't prove this. I'm only saying it's my opinion. She was very careful to say something to the effect. Remember, I sped read it. I didn't exactly want to meditate on this stuff. She said something to the effect that Donald Trump had made some arrangements to see her. If indeed that's true, it may be a total lie. And then she said, I thought this was very interesting, then she said that her feelings were hurt because she really, looked up to Donald Trump, and she was romantically interested in him because of his heroism and who he was as a man. See, that all sounds palatable. It's designed to sucker punch the American women and men. But then I reflected upon that, and I said to myself, that doesn't sound right. You know what that sounds like? The real story, again, I can't prove this. This is simply an opinion. I have no proof, so it's an opinion and nothing more than an opinion. So that's my disclaimer. But it appears to me that the real story was that if Trump did this, and I seriously doubt that he did, because the timing is wrong. Why would Donald Trump at that, well, this occurred a long time ago, but why did she come forward now? Okay. Why would Trump do something stupid? He's a national figure. It doesn't mean he can't do something stupid. His wife is one of the most beautiful women in the world. And quite frankly, I think his wife, Melania, is so much more beautiful than this Stormy, whatever her name is. Melania Trump is so much more beautiful than Stormy Daniels. You know why? Because Melania physically is gorgeous. She has an exotic look, but what makes her more beautiful than her physical looks, and of course that's important, but what makes her so beautiful is her spirit, her human spirit. She really seems to generate from her inner personality that she's a person of integrity, that she's kind, that she's compassionate, that is honest, that she's virtuous, that she's loving, that she wouldn't sell her soul, and make up some story. And that's, I believe, the real appeal of Melania Trump. Sure, her physical attributes got her through the door. She's gorgeous. She dresses gorgeous. But you notice that she never dresses in a sleazy way. As beautiful as she is, she does not wear clothing and outfits that many of the ladies in Hollywood wear, where they're pumping up their sexuality. I don't see Melania Trump trading her sexuality. She's dignified. She has class. She acts like a lady. But most of all, she has a virtue. A virtue. That's so rare in so many women in public arenas. She has virtue. And that virtue is a godly mannerism. And true virtue in a woman or a man makes them far more attractive than people that just physically are good looking. So I think Melania Trump is head and shoulders above Stormy Daniels, who doesn't seem, in my opinion, to generate virtue. She comes off, I'm not saying she is, but she comes off like an opportunist. Like she would do anything for a buck, anything to promote her career. Melania has virtue, classy. Why would Donald Trump, unless he was suffering from clinical depression or something, or male menopause or whatever, why would he run off to be with a second-rate Stormy Daniels when God has given him this beautiful wife? Doesn't make sense. Okay, so, and then the whole little stories that go around it. So she peddles this story, which sounds like a lawyer rewrote it. That's just my opinion. Because it gets people to feel sorry for her. You see, she said she was really in love with Trump, romantically attracted to Trump, thought Trump was a great man, and all that makes women, that resonates with women. Okay? And she was highly insulted. So she says that after their physical encounter, if that indeed ever happened, she was highly insulted that Trump insisted on paying her, okay? because she thought they had something special together. I don't buy that for a minute. I don't buy that for a minute. That sounds like a lawyer talking. You see, nobody would sympathize with Stormy Daniels if she made a business arrangement with Trump or one of his lawyers to spend a night with him, and she wanted to do whatever she had to do to get her big paycheck and left. They would view her as a prostitute, a porn star prostitute, because it's a well-known fact that a lot of these porn stars make big money on the side, especially if they're up there in the porn star world. They make big money on the side, selling their bodies and sexual favors and practices or whatever. They make big money. Well, that's called prostitution. When you're selling your body for money, that's called prostitution. So she didn't want to be perceived as a prostitute. So I think, I can't prove it, it's only just a theory of mine, that she talked to her lawyer or whatever, and they said, it'll make you sound a lot more sympathetic if you claim that you weren't interested in the money at all, and that your feelings were hurt that Donald Trump kind of rejected you, and he just wanted to pay you. That way it'll make Donald Trump look like some kind of cold pervert, and you're just a sweet, innocent, virginal girl who just wanted to, excuse me, this will be a little bit offensive, so I'm giving you a 3-second break. 1, 2, 3. You just wanted to genuinely make love with him. Okay, that's the end of the potentially offensive words. You see, that's something a tricky lawyer would do. And it's designed to fool women, and Christian women, that she has some kind of inner nobility, that she fell in love with Trump. Therefore, we can forgive her and excuse her because her motive was not money. But if her motive was not money, again, I'm not an expert in what happened here, but it appears that the arrangement to see her was based on some kind of promise or commitment of a tangible, large financial amount. So she went into this, apparently, again, I don't know 100% what the facts were, but apparently she went in with the intention of this being a business deal because she's a prostitute. I mean, you can glamorize porn stars all you want, but they're prostitutes. So she was going to sell herself to if it ever happened, to Trump. And then she changed her story to make herself more sympathetic. And her feelings were hurt. Okay? I don't buy that. That doesn't ring true. That sounds like a lawyer, and it sounds like a deceitful lie. And I think some of you probably agree with me now that you think about it. Okay, now, why an inner heart broken or something? I don't believe her heart was broken. What, are you kidding me? I don't know how many men or women the average porn star sleeps with for money, but I've read articles in legitimate papers like the LA Times and the New York Times and other things like that, where they say a big part of the money and wealth that these women on the higher level of the porn star business make is made by selling their bodies for sex. Okay? That's where they really kick in to make the money. So I'm very suspicious of her claim about some kind of romantic inclinations about Trump. Okay, as to the technicalities of did he sign this or did he sign that, how do we even know that he ever had a relationship with her to begin with? How do we know this thing ever really happened? How do we know whatever the lawyer is saying happened the way he said it? How do we know that her whole story is not a completely highly skilled manufactured lie put together by some deep state operation? Because that's what it smells like. Designed to take down Trump. Now, objectively and strategically, this one incident would not take down Trump. But it appears what their pattern with Trump is to 24/7 attack Donald Trump, demean him, ridicule him, make him the subject of jokes by the late-night comedians and every lunatic Hollywood star there is, constantly attacking Trump. It's never ending. It's actually sickening. every mainstream media program, with very few exceptions, all they do is attack Trump. Every star, every starlet, every celebrity newscaster, every journalist has some kind of meltdown moment, catharsis, where they attack Trump. I've never seen anything like it. That is, and in Hollywood too, anybody with any brains can tell you that is a fully developed, high-level psyops operation designed to convince the masses of people in America, design them to have a marginalized perspective of Donald Trump, to view him as kind of stupid, second-rate, perverse, or whatever. It's designed to tear down his character. Trump has an unusually high character. He's unusually intelligent. He's unusually gifted. But when you subject any human mind, never mind 100 million minds, to 24/7 jokes, innuendos, images, fake news reportings, all designed to tear him down and diminish his stature in your mind, sooner or later, this methodology of scientific mind control works. Because scientific mind control, propaganda, and persuasion is designed to target the subconscious mind, so that even though you rationally understand they're attacking him unfairly, their subliminal messages, their images, and everything else bury themselves in your subconscious mind. And then, as Aldous Huxley said, the major principle of scientific mind control is repetition, 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 and then playing late-night messages over and over again when you're tired, in a semi-sleep state, in that state of consciousness between sleep and being awake. That's when you're most vulnerable. That's when your subconscious is wide open for programming. That explains the emphasis of why they devote so much time to using these late-night comedians to spend their opening monologues, which last anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, where they do nothing but attack and destroy and ridicule Trump. That's not accidental, okay? That's done for two reasons. Number one is, there's a lot of intelligent people who watch these comedy shows, okay? But the larger audience of the comedy show people, like, what's his name? Corbett, I don't even know what his name is. And the rest of them. Most of them are mediocre comedians. There's a couple of good ones. Kimmel may be okay. But I'm telling you, the majority of these people are second-rate comedians. So, why would second-rate comedians do jokes on Trump every single night like it was a religious ritual, knowing full well it's driving away and angering 50% of their audience? No businessman would do that. Johnny Carson, the king of comedy, would never have done something so stupid. That's why he was the king of comedy. He didn't go out of his way to insult and anger 50% of his argument. It's bad comedy business. The same thing with the other big names in the comedy business. They didn't insult, I forgot his name. What's his name? The guy who rides the motorcycles and has the car collection. Jay Leno, he made an effort to be somewhat fair. And that's why he had a huge audience. Even what's his name, who was innuendoed in all these sexual scandals and did his show from the Ed Sullivan Theater. But these ones that don't have much talent, they're slamming Trump, slamming Trump, slamming Trump. Why? It's driving away their audience. Okay? No, it is. People don't. There's at least 50% of America doesn't want to hear it. Number two is, there's a strategic reason for it in terms of scientific mind control. People have had some drinks, they've taken some sleeping pills, they're in that semi-conscious state, they want to laugh before they fall asleep, but when they're in that semi-conscious state, right before they go to sleep, the door is wide open for them to be subconsciously brainwashed, and that's when they slip in the propaganda and programming that makes them disparage and dislike Trump. It's a formula of mind control. Okay, deliberately done. That is a methodical strategy of mind control. Okay, so Stormy Daniels in and of herself is not going to bring down Trump. What we need to understand, it's a composite. A composite means, let's go back to the analogy of connecting the dots. The more dots you put on the wall, the more dots you put in the consciousness of Americans, the more question marks, the more doubts, the more suspicions, the more rumors of his affairs and porn stars and him being incompetent. What you're doing is you keep adding the numerical amount of question marks and doubts about Trump, and not one thing is going to bring him down. It's going to be the collection. It's going to be all of it. The weight of all these dots together will bring him down. And they're desperate because their Russian collusion story turned out to be a complete lie, total lie. And now they're desperate. And desperate people are dangerous. What are they going to do? Would you put it past them to create some kind of horrific manufactured crisis? I'll leave the answer to that question in your hands. So, in our book, Trumpocalypse, The End Times President, A Battle Against the Globalist Elite and Countdown to Armageddon, I get into the deep state and the fact that the CIA... Oh, this is what I wanted to say. The target, and if you don't get anything else out of today's message, I hope you get this. You have to understand that the specific target that they're attacking and why they're using a porn star, Stormy Daniels. They're using Stormy Daniels to try to take down Trump because the specific target is evangelical Christian men and women. The part of the population that has the highest concern about morality, ethics, sexual purity, and virtue is by far the evangelical Christian community. It's evangelical Christian women for the most part, and some secular women. It's evangelical Christian men. It's the evangelical Christian culture that has the highest commitment to moral values, traditional moral values, sexual purity, so on and so forth. Okay? This attack with Stormy Daniels is not going to affect the crowd that's watching these very semi-X-rated, HBO TV specials and stuff. It's designed, the Stormy Daniels storm, weather modification, is designed to sever the relationship and the trust between the evangelical Christians, the evangelical church, the evangelical community, and the man that they perceive to be their hero, Donald Trump, and the man they perceive to be a champion of Christian values, Donald Trump. You have to understand that in a psyops operation, there's always a target. They're not attempting to persuade every American to not trust Donald Trump based on. By the way, they're trying to paint a broad brush to smear Trump. If this was to be true, which I am convinced that it is not, Trump did not molest, he did not rape, he did not use psychological coercion, he did not abuse a woman. If this is true, which I don't believe it is, it's in a completely different category, but they smear it all together. It was at most a business transaction and a consensual relationship. That doesn't justify it. What Trump did, if he did this, was immoral, okay, and against the Bible's commandments. Well, I'm not calling for any diminishing of God's holiness, but we have to understand what they're trying to do through the psyops, the deep state. You need to understand, I wrote this in my article, the deep state and the intelligence agencies who are the experts on mass mind control and stuff like that. They know more about, they have done more research and more study. They hire seminary professors from Christian universities. They know more about evangelical Christian theology. They know more about the Bible, salvation through grace, the holiness of God, the laws of God. They know more about the inner workings of the Christian culture than the average Christian does. They can predict with 100% accuracy what the response of the average Christian will be to hearing such news. Don't underestimate them. They study their target. Just like before they would infiltrate a Muslim group, they study it. Now, what we need to understand is that this is a psyops designed to sever and break off the support between evangelical Christians and Donald Trump, because they are the single most important group in the next series of elections coming up very soon, and then the next presidential election. That's what this is really all about. And you have to see what it's really all about and the priorities. That's why it is imperative that you do everything you can to educate your fellow Christians how to think biblically, how to use a biblical worldview in making a proper spiritual analysis from the Bible of what exactly this means, should it turn out to be true. And even if it is a falsehood, which I believe it is, it's not going to be the last. They're going to keep coming up with worse stuff. It is also not an accident. Please listen carefully. It is also not an accident that this stuff with Stormy Daniels comes up right in the middle of a tsunami of moral sexual abuse and sexual corruption in Hollywood and politics on a scale that's never happened before. The reason for that is they're saying nobody is above the law. So all the big actors and producers and stars and big business executives are being brought down over sexual abuse scandals. Okay? They're paving the way, should they want to take Trump down also. The problem is they don't have Trump on an abuse or a rape charge or whatever. But don't be surprised if one is manufactured. Their approach right now is to use a scattershot approach. They want to use as many different avenues as possible to bring him down. Now, let's not forget one thing, and I talk about this in great detail in our book, Trumpocalypse, I wrote with Troy Anderson in Conquering the Matrix and Mass Awakening. You need to understand that the deep state or the intelligence agencies, the CIA was first created at the end of World War II. Guess who created and hired the first director of the CIA? His name was Allen Dulles. It was one of the wealthiest men in the world, Rockefeller. Now, what business does Rockefeller have as a private citizen in creating the CIA and hand-picking the heads of the CIA? The implication is that does the CIA in truth really work for the secret societies and the wealthiest people in the world like Rockefeller? Because the head of the CIA and the CIA itself was certainly not the creation of we the people. It appears to be the private creation of Rockefeller. That is evil in and of itself. Number two is we need to understand the historical relationship, which we explain in Trumpocalypse, between the deep state, the mainstream media, the internet, and the social media giants. When you read Trumpocalypse and Conquering the Matrix, you'll discover that the American intelligence agencies, like the CIA, started what was called Operation Mockingbird. That's a fact. Operation Mockingbird allowed the CIA to embed its operatives in some of the biggest names in journalism, into mainstream media companies. The CIA, this is a matter of public record, placed into top media positions countless reporters and editors and producers who were trained at a special CIA school of journalism. And they embedded, at the highest level, CIA operatives in major media outlets like Time, Newsweek, The Washington Post, The New York Times, CBS, NBC, ABC, many motion picture studios, radio and television networks, and they even played a role in creating many of the so-called conservative media outlets. This was shocking to me. Kind of broke my heart. But William F. Buckley, the person I once thought who was a great conservative, he was the founder of the National Review, a conservative magazine that's still around, and he was a brilliant debater. But it turns out that William F. Buckley was on the payroll of the CIA. He was nothing more than a shill for the CIA. And then we get up to speed up till today. Google, Microsoft, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon, and countless other tech giants, the heads of the tech companies, and the tech companies themselves were initially funded by the CIA and continue to receive massive investments from front companies. So is it any wonder that the social media giants seem to be doing the bidding of the CIA? This is terrifying. This is what Orwell talked about. This is 1984. This is Brave New World. This is the thought police. So the world's wealthiest international banking families, such as the Rockefellers, apparently rule America from a shadow government and the deep state. Now, when David Rockefeller, who created the Council on Foreign Relations, CFR, their main goal is to create a one-world government. Many evangelical Christian leaders are part of the CFR because they're naive. That was put together. The United Nations was financed by Rockefeller. He and other globalists like former National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski and members of the Rothschild banking dynasty and Henry Kissinger believed not in we the people ruling America. They believed that they had the moral right, and if you want to read the exact quotations that they wrote in their own handwriting, it's bone-chilling. Read my book, Mass Awakening. It will terrify you what these men said in their own words. They said they were above traditional ideas like right and wrong. They were above traditional morality. They were free to do anything they wanted. And Huxley called for a scientific dictatorship. That's what we live in now, a scientific dictatorship. And their goal is to control the mass media. Now let's take one other thing, and that's gun control. Notice all the films. Notice the exploitation of all the tragic mass shootings. And what do you see? You see 24/7 propaganda that only focuses in on the dangers of guns and never shows you the truth about how many lives have been saved because people have guns. Let's get down to basics, real basics. There are single mothers with young children that cannot defend themselves. There are elderly people that cannot defend themselves. There are people who live in marginal neighborhoods that cannot defend themselves. There are people for all sorts of reasons do not have the physical strength to defend themselves. They are vulnerable. They are not safe. And because of where they live, they could have their home smashed open by a vicious gang, high on drugs, heavily armed, in what's called a home invasion. Okay? If this gang breaks into the house through a home invasion, now I'm going to be a little bit graphic here, so I need about three minutes permission on your part to give you a graphic statement, and then we can move on. When they smash through the door to do a home invasion, it's quite common for them to brutally beat, torture, and yes, rape in the most vile and disgusting ways elderly grandmothers, young children, and single mothers. Okay, that's horrible to say. It upsets me to say it because they're defenseless. If those people who are the victims try to call 911, I don't blame the police. They're overburdened. It could easily take 30 to 45 minutes for the police to get there. Easily. But even if it took 15 minutes for the police to get there, By that time, the people in that home have been robbed, they're dead, they're bleeding, and they have been brutalized in the most unspeakable manner. Now, what politician, what law enforcement person, what person in an intelligence agency, what person running for political office would dare to come forward and advocate a total gun control where all these helpless people like single mothers of all kinds of races and ethnic groups, in fact, the most vulnerable are the single mothers and elderly in the black and Hispanic neighborhoods. What politician would come forward and say, we're going to take away your guns for your own safety? Think about it. When the criminals and the gangs know that all the guns have been taken away, which they will know, they're not stupid, then they will have no reservation, no hesitation from smashing down the door and doing unspeakable things, because they will know for a 100% fact that the people that they're about to conduct a home invasion on are totally unarmed and they're totally defenseless. Think about that. Think about if it was somebody you loved, your daughter, your mother. I'm not going to go through the graphic details of what occurs. It is obscene and barbaric beyond description. But I will tell you this, the people that are shouting the loudest that there should be gun control and confiscation of guns, the Democrats and the Republicans and the presidents and all the Hollywood celebrities and all the big names and all the media that are shouting the loudest that all these guns need to be taken away to protect us, what they're doing is they're leaving all these single mothers and these elderly people like lambs to the slaughter. While they, the Hollywood elite, the big journalists, the moguls, the movie stars, the politicians, the big-time intelligence people, the big-time media people, all of them, they don't have to carry guns because they have the money to hire private armies. When I say private armies, they are hiring the finest caliber of private army money can buy. Ex-Navy SEALs, ex-PSYOPs. So these celebrities have anywhere from 4 to 6 or maybe more heavily armed and heavily trained men who act as a private army to protect the families and the children and the mothers and the grandmothers and the wives of the elite. Not only do they have gated fences and walls and the highest level security systems and panic rooms, but these private armies patrol the inside and outside of their house with bulletproof limousines. These men are trained warriors. They wear body armor so that they can't be killed by an automatic assault rifle. They carry on their own possession automatic assault rifles and other weapons that are illegal to defend their wealthy clients. So their wealthy clients are safe and sound. They'll never suffer the effects of a home invasion because they can afford to pay for a private army that is heavily armed, largely with weapons that are illegal to the average person. They have all the latest technology. They're trained, and no gang, no home invasion, no criminal is going to come near a movie star, a media celebrity, a journalist, or a politician, or some other big shot who has a private army to protect them. They travel in bulletproof limousines. Everywhere they go, they have an army of Navy SEALs, special ops people who are heavily armed with multiple fully automatic assault rifles, bulletproof vests, bulletproof black Cadillacs, and specially fortified homes that are patrolled 24/7 by a private military of anywhere between 4 to 10 soldiers. And they're calling for the innocent people to give up their guns. And what do they have? These people are selfish beyond description. They really are. I just want you to think about that. I want you to think about the inequality and the lies that are being told. And think about the fact, why are they after Trump? They're after Trump because he wants to defend the right of innocent people to defend themselves. They're after Trump because he wants to give the middle class and the working class an opportunity to live the American dream again. They're after Trump because he doesn't want to sign trade treaties that make people like Jeff Bezos and the other super billionaires super rich while draining away all the money from the middle class and working class. They're after Trump because he's against this one world socialist globalism, which is a total lie. The one world socialist globalists now they only amount to 1% of the population of planet Earth. But if they're so giving and generous and benevolent, how come 1% of the globalist elite now own and control 99% of the wealth? That's why they want to bring him down, because these people are greedy. They're selfish. They want to turn the rest of the human race into slaves. But many of your friends can't bring themselves to believe the truth because they believe the hypnotic illusion that they're sold night after night. May God have mercy on us. We can change the direction of this. We don't have much time, but we can change the direction. We can't do it alone. We must do it by partnering with one another. I'm asking you to partner with me as we launch out in television media, launch out in books, launch out in feature films. The key is to get the truth and to educate people as fast as we can while the doors of opportunity are still open. I need you to be prayer partners with me, to pray for me and my family and this ministry. I need you to act upon God's ideas that he gives you to disseminate the information by praying to the Lord. And then I want to both thank and ask those of you that will go before the Lord and say, Lord, I'm tired of playing games. I want to give 100% of my life and soul into this spiritual battle. I'm coming to you, Lord, with no preconceived idea. I'm humbling myself before you, Jesus, and I'm asking you to show me what I need to give, what amount I need to donate or give to Paul McGuire Ministries, so that he can use the volunteers and the gifting that God has given him to literally reach millions while there's still time. And I'm serious about it. Talk to my wife. I live, eat, and breathe this stuff. I don't rest very often because I have a burden, man. I can't let go of this. Sorry, I can't. I can't put my head to the pillow at night knowing I couldn't live with myself knowing that I did nothing. I'm serious. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. Knowing what I know, and if I chose to do nothing, like so many people that I know, it would haunt me to my grave. I think it would drive me insane. I feel I would never do this, but I would feel like Judas. I would probably have to go out and hang myself. I couldn't live with myself knowing that God gave me the power to do something, and I did nothing. And I believe you share that sentiment with me. Join me with you, will you? Join with me, will you? By the way, I will be speaking at the Red River Bible Prophecy Conference coming up this March 16th, a couple of days from now, to March 18th. Free live streaming, free conference attendance. You need to be there. Go to paulmcguire.us for the speaking schedule and everything else. God bless you. I'm Paul McGuire. Together, we can take the land Jesus gave us to take.